working with square roots by understanding that, like, when we have a square, in order to find the sides of each, they have to be the same. Well, square root is the same concept. When we solve for a square root, we are finding what number times itself would give us that answer that's underneath of that square root symbol. So a square root is a number that when it's multiplied by itself equals the given number. Every positive number has a positive and a negative square root. A perfect square is a number with integers as its square roots. So in other words, a perfect square is when we get an integer. So we've got integers are going to be whole numbers and their opposites. So 4 times 4 would give us 16. We would also get negative 4 times negative 4 would give us 16. So here, a positive square root would be this situation. So we've got the square root of 16 gives us 4, or 4 times 4 is 16. We can also go through and get the same answer if we had negative 4 times negative 4. Remember, when we do two negatives, when we multiply, we count those and they make a plus sign. So negative 4 times negative 4 would also give us 16. So here we could also have the answer of negative 4. Okay, so this 4 or negative 4 would be the solution to the square root of 16. A negative square root, on the other hand, is going to have where you've got a negative sign on the outside of that radical symbol. So we'll discuss that in just a second. You're going to solve whatever's inside or underneath of that radical sign, and then you're going to just apply your negative afterwards. Okay, both square roots, to identify when they are wanting both of the square roots, they will usually do a plus and a minus sign underneath, identifying please tell us both of them, or they will do it in wording such as what I have here, where it says find the 2 square roots. So there's not really 2 different numbers, there is, but you're just going to apply a negative sign in front of that same positive number. So let's go over a little bit of vocabulary before we move on here. Our vocabulary that we need to understand is the symbol. I will often call it the square root symbol. It does have a technical name of the radical symbol or the radical sign. So if you ever come across that wording, it's just meaning this symbol, what I call the square root symbol. It's used to represent a square root. The number under the radical sign is called the radicand. So for example, here 16 would be your radicand. Okay, I will probably still refer to using square root and so forth. So here it says find the 2 square roots of 49. So in other words, here's visually what they're asking. They're asking us to find both square roots of 49. Okay, see how I kind of introduced it like that. Had I just asked for the square root of 49, you could give me, well, what number times itself would give us 49? That would be 7. So you could identify it as just 7. But if I want to identify both of them, I have to remember that it could be a positive 7 and it could also be a negative 7. The way that is simpler to write that out is to just do your plus and minus sign in front of your 7. So you only have to write it once. I will accept either, but I do want you to kind of practice this for today so that you're understanding how to actually see that and understand that if you come across that maybe on Iowa Assessment or STAR or something like that, that you're understanding what that's really representing. Okay, so let's go ahead and try another one. Like I said, we're going to do perfect squares right now, ones that are easy for you to do in your head and that you shouldn't have to use your calculator for. Okay, find the 2 square roots of 81. So in other words, they're asking this. This is how it would look if they did this in word or without words. They would be showing you this. Okay, so I want to find the positive number and the negative number. When I multiply them times themselves, that would give me 81. Well, multiplication facts, 9 times 9 equals 81. So it's going to be an answer of 9. And I could have positive 9 or I could have negative 9. And those would both give me a positive answer of 81. So this is my final answer. Okay, let's try one more and then I'm going to have you guys do one on your own. Find the 2 square roots of 25. So visually, this is what they're asking. It's just that they put it into wording. Okay, so the square root of 25, well, 5 times 5 is 25. So 5 would be my answer, and I could either have positive or negative 5. This is my final answer. All right, so I'm going to slide one out here for you to try independently. go ahead and try this one. Find the 2 square roots of 64. So you can pause your video if you need to and work through this one. Okay, the 2 square roots of 64 are positive and negative 8. Now, this same concept can be applied. They don't have to be perfect squares. For example, if we had the square root of 4.84 and they asked for both of those, we could go through and actually solve that also. We could find the square root of 4.84, which is 2.2, and then we can still do that same answer format for this. It's just I was working those perfect squares with you just because I know that those are multiplication facts that you know. When you get into more advanced problems, can you use a calculator to help you? Sure. But we will also practice some different methods that you can use without going through and using the calculator throughout this chapter.